Did you ever think a kid could become one of history's greatest warlords? Meet Genghis Khan, or should I say Temujin, the name he was born with around 1162 AD. To the Chinese, he was a barbarian scourge. To Europeans, he was a demonic servant leading a nation of devils. But to history, he's a legend. And today, we're going to talk all about this Mongolian legend. Temujin hailed from the Balkh tribe and was a descendant of Kublai Khan, a man who did the unthinkable: unite the Mongol tribes against China 6 decades earlier. From birth, greatness was in his blood, quite literally. A blood clot in his head marked him as destined for leadership in the eyes of the superstitious Mongols. But life wasn't easy for young Genghis. At 9, his father took him to live with his future bride's family. On the way back, his dad met a rival tribe who offered him a meal. And guess what? They poisoned him. Harsh, right? When Genghis heard about his dad's death, he rushed home to claim his spot as clan chief. But the clan wasn't having it. They kicked his family out, leaving them as outcasts. Talk about a rough start. Genghis vowed never to be laughed at again. Years later, during a squabble over hunting spoils, he killed his half-brother. Brutal? Yes. But was it effective? Absolutely. This act cemented his role as the head of his family. Can you imagine being a child and already knowing that power comes from bloodshed? By 16, Genghis Khan had learned these harsh truths. He married Bort, a girl promised to him long ago, sealing an alliance with her tribe. But right after their wedding, things took a dark turn. Bort was kidnapped by a rival tribe and given to their chieftain. And what did Genghis do? He didn't hesitate. With his buddy, Jamuka, and protector Togrul, he stormed the rival camp and rescued Bort. 9 months later, Bort had a son named Jochi. Whispers about Jochi's paternity spun, but Genghis shut them down, accepting the boy as his own. Genghis and Bort went on to have 4 sons. Despite many other wives and children, only Bort's sons were considered for succession. Bort was his rock, his lifelong companion. Now, here's a twist. At 20, Genghis was captured by the Taichuts, former allies turned enemies. Enslaved and punished for his defiance, his iron will remained unbroken. Thanks to a sympathetic captor still loyal to his family, Genghis escaped. This daring escape boosted his reputation. He formed a fighting unit with his brothers and trusted clansmen. Genghis had a vision, though. The Mongols would never be great until they stopped their petty infighting. So he set out into the steppes, uniting the clans by force if necessary. His goal? Simple: end the divisions and make the Mongols a mighty nation, capable of rivaling China. But how did a young Genghis Khan turn a small force into a deadly army of 20,000 warriors, you might ask? His combination of tactical brilliance and savage brutality made him an exceptional battlefield commander. And do you know what was his first big challenge? The Tartars, the same Terets who had murdered his father. Genghis crushed them and, in a brutal twist, ordered every Tartar male taller than a wagon wheel axle pin to be killed. Only the kids, who could be molded into loyal followers, were spared. Talk about ruthless. Next up were the Taichut, former allies who tried to enslave him. Genghis's cavalry, expert horsemen, routed them with ease. His revenge: boiling every single Taichut chief alive. Brutal. Not one to rest on his laurels, he then defeated the powerful Naiman tribe, gaining control over central and eastern Mongolia, territory no Khan had held in centuries. Genghis wasn't just about brute force. He valued military intelligence, employing a huge network of spies to gather crucial information on his enemies. Sometimes, these spies acted as assassins, taking out key rival commanders to weaken enemy forces. He was also quick to adopt new technologies from those he defeated. Improved bows allowed his men to shoot further and more accurately. He also developed a sophisticated communication system using smoke signals, torches, drums, and flags to issue commands during battle. This made his forces incredibly agile and responsive, often outmaneuvering enemies with ease. Genghis Khan's success was built on the individual expertise of his soldiers, his own shrewd tactics, and an unflinching willingness to do whatever it took to win. His legend only grew from there, and the world would never be the same. Now, if you're wondering what made Genghis Khan's army so unstoppable, then know this: Genghis didn't just let anyone join his ranks. He demanded the best. Each warrior had to be an expert rider, able to handle a horse without a saddle. No easy feat, right? But that's just the start. His soldiers were sharpshooters with the bow and could fight up close with swords and daggers. Imagine a Mongol warrior equipped with a bow, arrows, a wooden or leather shield, and a lasso. Sometimes they had javelins, hardened leather armor, and a lance with a hook to yank enemies off their horses. And they could do all this while controlling their horse with just their legs, leaving their hands free for combat. Impressive, huh? But Genghis wasn't just about brute force. He knew an army needed more than fighters. His forces were backed by a well-organized supply system. Ox carts carried supplies and extra gear. Shamans provided spiritual guidance and treated the wounded, and government officials cataloged the plunder. After smashing the major Mongol tribes, they finally unified under Genghis, naming him Khan, the universal ruler. Not just a political title, but a spiritual one too. A great shaman declared Genghis Khan the living representative of Monk Kokotingri, the eternal blue sky, the supreme god of the Mongols. With this divine status, Genghis's destiny was clear: to rule the world. But we're not done yet. Are you ready for more jaw-dropping history? We have yet to talk about Genghis Khan's ruthless conquests. You see, right after securing his clan, Genghis set his sights on the kingdom of Sixia in northwest China. By 1209, they surrendered without a fight. But he didn't stop there. Next target, the Jin dynasty in northern China. This battle was an epic grind, lasting 20 years. While fighting in China, Genghis also looked west. He tried making nice with the Khwarezm dynasty, a Turkish empire covering Turkestan, Persia, and Afghanistan. But things went south fast. When a Mongol trade caravan of 450 men arrived in Otrar, the city's governor, Inalchuk, accused them of spying and executed them all. Big mistake. Genghis sent 3 diplomats to the Khwarezm Sultan, demanding justice. And the Sultan's response: he beheaded one diplomat and humiliated the other 2. Double mistake. In 1219, Genghis figured he'd pay the Sultan a visit, so he led a 200,000-strong army against Khwarezm. He didn't just win, he annihilated. Major cities were leveled, and anyone not killed on the spot was used as a human shield in the next attack. Brutal, right? Even kids, pets, and livestock weren't spared. By 1221, the Sultan and his son were dead, and the Khwarezm dynasty was history. This massacre opened the gates to Eastern Europe and started the Pax Mongolica. Despite his bloody reputation, Genghis Khan was also a shrewd statesman. He valued peace and prosperity as much as conquest. Now, can you imagine what drove a man to such extremes? Well, keep watching because the story gets even more intense. You see, Genghis Khan wasn't just a conqueror, he was a game changer. His invasions brought law and order to lands ruled by brutal warlords for centuries. He banned blood feuds, forcing lasting peace and ending petty clan conflicts. Imagine that. No more constant warfare. His laws were tough but fair. No adultery, no theft, no false witness. They even respected the environment. Genghis made it a rule to treat natural resources with great care. Decency and obedience went hand in hand for his soldiers. They had to pick up anything the guy in front dropped. Unity over selfishness. Genghis was progressive, way ahead of his time. He ditched the tradition of earning promotions based on birth or ethnicity. In his empire, merit ruled. A non-Mongol could rise just as high as a Mongol. Efficiency and competence trumped social status. Religious tolerance. Genghis nailed it. He gave tax exemptions to religious organizations, a move that Western powers wouldn't adopt for centuries. Religion was a personal thing, free from law and interference. And get this, he established a mail system. Yes, a mail system that safely delivered packages and letters from Europe to China, an accomplishment not repeated for centuries. However, all good things must come to an end. No. Genghis Khan, one of history's greatest warlords, died under mysterious circumstances. Was it an injury? Natural causes? Historians aren't sure. But his burial followed Mongol tradition. No grand tomb for this legend. Instead, his body was taken to a secret spot, and anyone who saw the funeral procession, they didn't live to tell the tale. Rumor has it, they even rerouted a river over his grave to keep it hidden forever. Under his son's rule, the Mongol Empire reached its peak, stretching all the way to Vienna. Imagine that. But when his son Ogidi died, the Mongol commanders had to head back to Mongolia. And just like that, Europe got a lucky break. But what if they hadn't? Genghis Khan's empire was surprisingly progressive. Think about it. Could Europe have actually thrived under Mongol rule? And what would the world look like today if the Mongol Empire had lasted as long as the Roman Empire? Drop your thoughts below. And hey, if you found this video intriguing, smash that like button.